Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'm Nyesha McCauley, and I'm joined by my colleague,
Paul Holzer. Good to be here.
So this is Achieve Hartford's Education Update, and we are going to run through some items that are coming up on Tuesday, March 18th's Board of Education meeting, just to get everyone up to date on what's happening. One of the things that is really big for the board, if you are unaware, there's been new positions assigned or elected, like the board body elects new officers. And so last board meeting, Richard Waring actually became the new board chair.
That's right.
So they're going to finish that process up on Tuesday's board meeting.
That's right. There'll be a vice chair, a second vice chair, and then a secretary. So we'll see. And then these three folks, along with Rich Waring, will round out the executive team of the 9-member Board of Education. So, and you know, they're doing this without even having a full board there, because Shelley Best, the mayor's appointment, has yet to be confirmed by city council. So I guess they'll be appointing officers, and she won't be one of them. But she'll be a member of the board soon enough, I imagine.
Yeah, I think that's good news too for Hartford and the school board. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to
another strong community voice
when she comes on. If anyone wants to check out Rich Waring being sworn in, it is available on our YouTube page. So go to YouTube/Achieve Hartford and check it out. Because and the reason why I mentioned that is because he laid out like 5 priorities for the rest of the school year, which I think are very important for people to really get an understanding of the direction that the school board is going to focus on. Yeah,
because I think folks know that Dr. Kishimoto's days here are limited, so she'll be gone on June 30th, or potentially earlier if she needs to move to Arizona earlier than that, or if something happens. But she's on contract till June 30th. But the last few months for her are probably going to be focused on her next job. So the board now has to be focused on, well, what else is really going to be the focal areas for the district for the next few months. Yeah. So I think I remember a few off the top. Obviously, the superintendent transition or selection. Getting that right was one of Rich Waring's top priorities, but then also I think doing something about chronic absenteeism. That's right. Right, and there were about three other items.
Yeah, actually, and one of them was Clark School, and we're going to get into that a little bit later in the show, so stay tuned, because we do have an update about Clark.
Yeah.
But just moving on the agenda items, the board is going to put forward a resolution.
That's right.
I think that's what they
in recognition.
Resolution of recognition of Walter Doc Hurley, as you all know, out in the community, has passed away, and the board wants to recognize his contributions to just education, to young people, young and old people in the city of Hartford.
That's right.
Yeah. So they will be doing that on Tuesday as well.
That's right. Also on the agenda, there's a number of principal appointments. One of them is permanent, and that's Jose Colon at the Expeditionary Learning Academy. And that one's kind of interesting because we have to look into this one just to see if there's any difference between executive principal and principal, but his title says executive principal at Expeditionary Learning Academy at Moylan. And I believe he's been the acting principal there, so I think no huge surprise. Folks are generally very supportive of Jose Colon and his leadership. But there are some other acting and interim appointments. Richard Quinn will become the interim principal at Batchelder Elementary School, and Sherry Tanner will become the acting principal at Early Reading Lab at Betances. So I believe Principal Didier has been on administrative leave for quite some time.
That's right.
And I've been told too that the investigation into some of the state's issues with test scores being manipulated or not manipulated, that investigation is supposedly wrapping up soon, so maybe next month we'll hear something about that. I think folks in that community are definitely want to know what's going on. Or what went down.
Right. Yeah. Right. Everyone, parents, teachers, like everyone kind of wants to know.
Yeah, huge deal.
Yeah.
Also, there's going to be a first reading of a new graduation requirements policy. I think things are going to be made a little bit more rigorous. So I'm interested to read about that. I know Hartford led the way in years ago. I mean, this is now 4 years ago, in changing the graduation requirements policy to be much more rigorous than it had in the past. So this will be a first reading, so we'll be excited to talk about that next week and find out more about that. I think the big news, and on the agenda is on the Hartford Promise. So I think folks have been wondering in the community, is this, is money being raised for this? Is this really going to go into effect in 2016?
So what really is the Hartford Promise? What are we talking about? Just scholarship money, right?
Basically, more than anything, it's scholarship money that's been raised for students who have a certain GPA, a certain behavioral record, certain attendance record, who graduate from Hartford Public High Schools, magnet or neighborhood.
But you do have to be a Hartford resident.
Have to be a Hartford resident, absolutely, okay. And you have to be, I think, in high school for 4 years to be eligible. And it's real money. It's $5,000-$10,000 depending on where you're going to community college or state school. It's very meaningful, very good incentive, but also I think it represents a commitment, not just by the school district, but the entire corporate and philanthropic community of the city to say, every kid who graduates with a certain record, we've got your back. We're gonna try to remove the financial barriers.
So what they're doing, they're gonna make this a
executive director.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is going to be the real launch of the Hartford Promise, outside of just the fundraising, but saying, there has to be some kind of organization here. Someone actually has to do the work of fundraising and of communicating about this. So there'll be one position that will be hired for, but first, the district wanted to allocate the money and make sure that position was housed. So if you look at the agenda here, that Hartford Promise position is actually going to be housed, it looks like, at the Hartford Consortium for Higher Education. But it looks like the district may be allocating the money for that position. So now they can go out and hire for it. So that'll be great. This will be a very high-profile person out in the community. Hopefully they find someone phenomenal who can raise incredible dollars for the youth of Hartford. So, and the families.
Yeah, because for top of my head, I would like to see that the scholarship level increased.
I'm sure. Well, let me guess. You got kids in the system? Absolutely. So that's good news, and we'll report back on that, anything we learn. Obviously. I would say, one other thing on here, just to mention, we talked about the appointments of principals, but there's also an executive session to talk about a personnel matter, and all it says is Miss Karen Lott, and she is the principal at the Fuse or Jamoki Milner Academy School. And if you remember, that was a Commissioners Network school, the first school in Connecticut to go into the Commissioners Network, and got about $1 million a year over 3 years. They're a little more than halfway through the 3-year contract. So started out with a principal there in year one that
Doreen Crawford.
Crawford, right? That Fuse, George Jamoki, however you want to refer to them, that Fuse hired. And then Doreen moved on, and apparently it wasn't a great fit. But then they went out and found Karen Lott, who's a superstar turnaround principal from New Haven. Yeah. And it just troubles me to see her name, here under executive session. My hope is that they're not about to lose a second principal. But clearly something's going on there. So for the residents and of that community up there on Vine Street, or if your kids are going there, traveling to Milner from across the city. Definitely inquire about what's happening. Stability at the principal level is just paramount to improvement. So can't be much of a turnaround if we're going to cycle through principals, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
So that's, there's some other items on the agenda, but public comment is definitely the first part of every Board of Education meeting. So they do allot time for parents, students, and then just the general public. So I'm anticipating that we actually will see a large number of people turned out for Tuesday's Board of Education meeting around one particular item, and that is Clark School.
Yeah.
Even though it's not an agenda item, I expect that we're going to see a large turnout, and quite frankly, the turnout I think we're going to see is going to be heavily represented by the teachers union and other affiliated people, of the community.
Yeah, I think so, and I'm hoping it's a real diversity of folks, right? But this has been, the Clark School's entrance into the Commissioners Network. They had submitted a letter almost about a month and a half ago. The commissioner said, yes, please become part of the Commissioners Network. You have to find a partner, your model. You have to put together a strong turnaround plan. And that really launched a very kind of grassroots, union-led kind of opposition to that school kind of partnering with I think Friendship has been the Friendship Charter School from DC has been what the state has put forth as like
strongest partner.
Yeah, the strongest partner, I guess, compared to some local partners. But it's been the ire of folks in that community, and I know the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, has a huge presence at the school. But there are other community members as well who are just very worried. I think it's time for folks to really say, okay, what is happening at my school? Let me get the facts.
Yeah.
So we were very happy to be supportive of the turnaround process at Clark, which is something new for us, but more parents wanted to go on a trip to visit Friendship charter schools down in Washington, D.C. or Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And we were pleased to be able to get as many parents there as possible and to lend some of our financial support towards that effort, and are really hopeful that the parents can make a great decision there and be really involved.
Yeah, so there's so they're in the turnaround process. The turnaround committee has been meeting. They've been looking at different models, and they are expected to vote relatively soon. Is that? Yeah,
I think the process is supposed to wrap up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So it's go time. So folks who want to know what's going to happen at their school, really need to ask questions. Talk to your PTO president. I think Lakeisha McFarland. Talk to Millie Soto. She's the parent co-chair of the SGC. These parents are on the turnaround committee, incredibly involved. But it's just, what's happening at Clark has just become like a huge debate in that community. And I know there's just a lot of different interests at play here, and it's going to be up to that community, I think, to come together in the end and say, what do we want for our school?
Right.
And hopefully it's something that will make a difference for kids.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. So I would, anyone who wants to come out and lend their voice to this, please come out tomorrow at the Board of Education meeting. There'll be some other opportunities to speak up about what's happening.
I think there'll be
Clark.
Another community forum at some point next week. So please find out if you want more information. I'm sure we can find out more things happening in that community. Just drop Nyesha an email or info@achievehartford.org. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find out and make sure that you're in the know. But definitely come out tomorrow night if you can and listen to Clark. Yeah.
So we're just about done, but we wanted to update you on one final item. It's not happening tomorrow's board meeting, Tuesday, March 18th, but on Wednesday, March 19th, there is an executive session by the Superintendent Search Committee.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So say a little bit about that. I think the last board meeting there was an update, and then we received an update as well that we put out in the newsletter. Well over 50 superintendent candidates have put in their applications to the search consultants that Hartford Public Schools has hired, that the Board of Education has hired. So hopefully out of those 50 plus candidates, there'll be some that are just great and that will be great for Hartford. And Achieve Hartford has been asked to coordinate a large effort to draw as many folks from the community out. And this is from the resident community to the corporate community, the university community, the nonprofit community, and everyone in between to come out and meet the candidates. And that is going to be on, I think, April 16th. So you'll hear more from us on that. But some positive movements. There's some things are moving along. So the deadline for anyone to apply for the superintendent job was March 5th. That deadline is come and gone. They're doing a look at those candidates, I guess, right now, and in a few weeks there'll be interviews, and then hopefully top 3 will be introduced to the community, and we're happy to be involved in that effort.
Yeah. So good stuff. Lots. Excuse me. So many things happening. It's really education. Sometimes people's eyes gloss over, and they don't. It's a lot, but it's moving very quickly, and things are really happening. And so
great time to be involved.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, because everyone's voice matters so much in this process. So.
Yep. So talk to us. We'll be back every Monday around whenever this airs, but we'll be here early in the morning every Monday, making sure you guys get the news you need on education, and we're happy to provide it.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. Until next time. Where are we signing off at?
Right there. Sounds good.
All right. We'll catch you later.
Take care.